Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear his voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father, through Jesus, the Son, and give him the glory. Let us sing aloud. Open a bit, I shall say.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Nyye see an so. Now to no more bra. Or they are doing it. Oh, so when you didn't hear, sir. I am the what you know, when you didn't. I blame Mr. said that we will be a man so come. But we are watching. Now I'll give you a bad. Session as well, Nyye, the Mioba, the Amen.
Amen.
Ebe fa him ho ya ko MAB 247 MAB 247 ukra training so as a Methodist 247. Rejoice, the Lord is King, your Lord and King adore. Mortals give thanks and sing and triumph evermore. Lift up your heart, lift up your voice. Rejoice again, I say rejoice. Rejoice, the Lord is King. 1, 4.
Rejoice, the Lord is King. Your Lord and King adore. Mortals give thanks and sing and triumph and mourn. Lift up your heart, lift up your voice, rejoice again, I say rejoice, rejoice again, I say rejoice.
The second stanza.
Jesus the Savior reigns, the God of truth and love. When he had purged our stains, he took his seat above. Lift up your heart, lift up your voice, rejoice again, I say rejoice, rejoice again, I say rejoice.
The last one, rejoice in glorious hope, Jesus the day shall come and take his servant up to either eternal home. The life stands up.
Rejoice in glorious hope, Jesus the church shall come and take his servants up to their eternal home. We soon shall hear the angel voice. The trump of God shall sound, rejoice. The trump of God shall sound, rejoice.
Onyame nkonko sɛ n'adom a ɔde adom no so ɛnyɛ kɛse ɛwɔ mu saa ɛne wɔn kan nkyerɛkyerɛ wo ɔma ne kan ntɔɔ so ɔma ne kanea no ɛnnɛre ɛwɔ mu ɛwɔ abrabɔ mu wɔ anamontuo mu wɔ decision mu wɔ biribi biara a ɔbɛyɛ biara no Awurade kanea ɛni wɔ nkyerɛkyerɛ kwan saa esum nnwuma biara a ɔbɔnefoɔ ahyehyɛ biara no Awurade kanea ntwie na esum nyane saa ɛwɔ Yesu
In the name of Jesus. Awurade yɛde yɛn ho ade yɛn ho Amen.
Nyame ase anɔpɛ so ɔbanbɔ sonko awurade ɛde abɔ yɛn saa ɛnɛ nso tim mpanimfoɔ ɛde ama yɛn no is a very interesting thing mpanimfoɔ ato din sɛ practice savings ti ɛnɛ mɛba kɔɔso mu kakra anaasɛ bi mbɔɔ na nkasa mɛba kɔɔso mu kakra nkasa na yɛ ho how a yɛbɛsi atotototo yɛsi kasɛm ne yɛ bibiaa na hyɛ kristo di animuonyam nti yɛbɛfa yɛtwerɛsɛm no yɛakɔ Genesis chapter 41 verse 17 to 49. The first book of Moses 41 17 to 49. The first book of Moses chapter 41 verse 17 to 49. Maybe I don't making kind. So Pharaoh told Joseph in his dream, in my dream, he said, I was standing on the bank of the Nile River. And I saw 7 fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and began grazing in the marsh grass. But then I saw 7 sick-looking cows, screaming and tinning, came up after them. I have never seen such a solid-looking animals in all the land of Egypt. Verse 20. These 10 screaming cows ate the 7 fat cows, but afterward you wouldn't believe. Sorry, afterward you wouldn't have known it, for they were still as tiny and screaming as before. Then I wake up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and beautiful, growing on the single stick. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were brighter, shaped, and went up by the east wind, and the shaped head swallowed the 7-headed head. I told this dream to the magicians, but no one could tell me what they mean. Verse 25, Joseph responds, both of Pharaoh dreams means the same thing. God is telling Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do. The 7-headed cow and the 7-headed heads of grain both represent 7 years of prosperity. The 17th scrawny cow that came up later and the 17 heads of grain waited by the east wind represents 7 years of famine. Verse 28. This will happen just as I have described it. For God has revealed to Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do. The next 7 years will be a period of great prosperity throughout the land of Egypt, but afterward there will be a 7 years of famine so great that all the prosperity will be forgotten in Egypt. Famine will be destroyed the land, and this famine will be so severe that even the memory of the good years will be erased. Verse 32. As for the famine will be so severe that verse 32. As for having 2 similar dreams, it means that this event have been decreed by God, and it will soon make them happen. Therefore, Pharaoh should find an intelligent and a wise man and put him in charge of the eternal land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh should appoint a supervisor over the land and let them correct 1/5 of all the crops during the 7 good years. Have them gather all the food produced in the good year that are just ahead and bring it to Pharaoh's storehouse. Store it away and guard it so there will be food in the city. Verse 36. That way, there will be enough to eat when the 7 7 years of famine come to the land of Egypt. Otherwise, this famine would destroy the land. Joseph's suggestions were well received by Pharaoh and his officials. So Pharaoh asked his officials, "Can we find anyone else like this man?" So obviously, filled with the Spirit of God. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has revealed the meaning of the dream to you, clearly no one else is as intelligent or wise as you are. You will be in charge of my court, and all my people will take orders from you. Only I, sitting on my throne, will have a rank higher than you." Verse 41. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the entire land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and placed it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in a fine line cloth and hung a gold chain around his neck. Then he had Joseph ride in the chariot reserved for his second in command. And wherever Joseph went, the commander was shouted, "Kneel down." So Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of all Egypt. And Pharaoh said to him, "I am Pharaoh, but no one will lift a hand or a foot on the entire land of Egypt without your approval." Verse 45. Then Pharaoh gave Joseph a new Egyptian name, Saphanet Kiana. He also gave him a wife, whose name was Asenath. She was the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On. So Joseph took charge of the entire land of Egypt. He was 30 years old when he began serving in the court of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And when Joseph left Pharaoh's presence, he inspected the entire land of Egypt. Verse 47. As predicted for 7 years, the land produced bomb crops. During those years, Joseph gathered all the crops growing in Egypt and stored the grain from the surrounding trade in the city. Verse 49, which is the last verse. He filled up the huge amount of grain like a sand on the seahole. Finally, he stopped keeping record because there was too much to measure. Amen.
Amen.
Please type the numbers you hear.
Now, you can say savings here. I never practice savings. When we say a hurricane, you're not say hurricane, but Oko Walmart, HB Nicoga, na Adriane, and Nampoet. Obia to Toby, to Bedia, but what they say would you spare the best freezer. Nobody be a sea. Say as an award tree and I said, "I want you to go on Pio Grana or what you obey, any noveno." So, savings is the money that a person has left over after subtracting out a consumer spending from their disposable income. And the other savings are a sika. What it will be when you scan what it will be free mono. Scanner and cano. Now what they two on any friend savings. And see, a human are watching who scan out the one what can you now? And see, go so much scanner when you and we disposable income. Disposable income. Disposable income is an income after the tax. And this is when you told tax every movie, this kind of amount, scanner accounts and anything disposable income. And so, based upon this disposable income, and on a woman who expenses will put your life, they put your water, they put your all your base. So, after subtracting all your consumer expenditure, every side disposable income, any amount of money left that becomes savings. And it's a many 2,000. Now, at the end of the month, the 2,000 expenses now consider 1,800. The rest of 200 about the savings I am. Now, and only idea I am not adding say Christian Nicola and the Quaso we could see Sansa Yashi was as he so intino and the Quaso in scar where they could see more. But and then with the May and Genesis chapter 41, verse 17, so extra, they said, and was set in net savings away a bravo. And to what Joseph and the fellow that is so at the end, a young one, the say, when you make a that is so at the edge there, fellow, a brand and come ever back. And I want that our trade Joseph ever did, ever said, I am not and watch it say, a come a see a babies. They want to prevent says, I come to see and I want to be. I was a Sunday, I started walk with you. They didn't know my divine and any bit of the SC. Say, yeah, a calling bar. Yet to me, and Gianna, so as a Christian, saving should be your habit. I was saying, Christian Israel, who make sure, say, who best see you, and this. So when you will see car, the first thing I will say, the first savings is for God. When you meet the money, then you have to also take your own savings. After so when you see car every year now, why you meet the every year, when you meet every disposable income you are. After consumer spending, don't you know what you read? I was said. Once we see every 2 1 says, let's go with it. With the saving either day, I'm a man. Say, yeah, at a rentum, and I said, be every seer. A bit to me, I'm a one year, see every day at the attitude. So in Genesis chapter 41, verse 35, Joseph ordered them to collect all the food of those. Joseph catch what say, oh, Biani or my storehouse one. And the anopay, Sikabia win a beer. I was said at the end of the month, what do I say? We went to a big at the SC. So the food should be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine. And the Joseph Gacho said, a Gianna, what did you now? You make sure say, you make it 10 on by the embassy. Now, or how many am I nearly by a combined bar? Yet to make his son woman at the back. Baby, now what American or some at the end of the week to be a sicker. And when you scanner, who are spending, when you scanner, who are consumed. And to $1 per one will leave you when I cancel. As I said, you're meeting anyone young, the M1. And savings can be in different forms. It can be cash in hand, or it can be what liquid asset. Savings, no, a bit my say, see car, what you turn on. And the better is why I said liquid in asset. That doesn't mean in the course we show the word liquid asset. And liquid asset can be transformed in the form of cash. Liquid asset, they say, many sika. Let me this can have a go to a idea. Me dey go to dime. Me dey go investment. Me dey go to stock. And now say na go to shares. That's the liquid asset. And the shikana and keep them in the back to sa accounts. Me dey say shikana pa for to e gapade bia. Say e do maybe na say the whole children ya make one to say gapade no. Amma say gapade na ba be cash in hand. Amma me. And the year Christopher, I was saying what they say, but more for the neighborhood, the best. I am not a group of Sylvia. You know, you have one more thing in Sibu. Now, another name yet studies the track of a say, a day piano, and answer then I want to be piano, who see Kanisha. And you know, then I want to be a witness car, what yet? Who would try so they say will be at $25 a week. So we say $25 a week here. There were 4 weeks in a month. And the amount of what money I say $100 at all. Multiply $100 by the 12 months. Over $1,200. not there. But when we just had $25, now they got 2 baby, 25, now they got 2 baby. At the end of the year, no, about the cash in hand, at the amount. And you know, so when you cash in hand, you know, let's say Sikano, Esumbu, Edos, Kakra. Don't leave the money to stay in bank. Say Sika at the bank here, you have to be account. Or be a whole savings account to be able to dance on one there. The one who might be a 1 cent. 2 cents at the account, and see a must cannot be at the ending. Then, so when you see canon, nothing is going to be a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. You can use that money to invest. An investment means that be able to be a top stock, and also be a top shares, and now be a top a Japanese or Ghana and Saha. As time goes on, sad, you know, and then giving interest ahead. So sometimes it's not good to keep money, as I said, in the bank, but you have to use the money to buy something or to acquire some properties that eventually aboard. I mean, for any example, any apartment, you know, what's the apartment? What's the apartment? 5 years, 6 years. The money you are paying is not for you. It's for the apartment people. At the end of the year, no, we never saw the film. The money they are paying, you know, by 5 years time, no, say any panic on pay a fee, no one toa. Your friend will say equity. Was there a fear of upgrading equity? And to say we are to feel we are $250,000. By 5 years time, maybe your man has just 150 now, one ton. If you have the equity, I'm going to 300,000. And they are told 300,000. The balance of 50,000 and the money panel, I mean, the other day. So I always encourage people to say, when your opportunity, that's our credit to your good, that's what you make a credit your good. It's better to leave apartment and get your own house. Not any security should be anyone. Then go Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 11. Na yankan ade kakra bi wo hono me bu se me trensia yimu sia kopem edu ba kono. Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6 to 11 me kana Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6 going. Take a lesson from the ant, you lazy ones. Learn from their ways and become wise. What's it? Obavasia, Papuan Tetiente, a Bushian Alpine. I didn't know Proverbs a Cassa, and Tetia a Yabobia, another name Bible says, can say, and Tetia Yabobia. When we say, and stop bread, won't mean and during summertime, or Pia. Now watching the piano, and the best time getting a good bomber, and the night torso. And you want to stop being a bar, and take your work, and stop their movie, and take your body. What was in the boom? The Adrian was torn, no way, woody. And the prophet and me, as I said, yeah, didn't free, young fast away and sweating way and see so. Say, see, you get a juma, you better pay, you better the other, and to baby. As on the phone, I can't say that. The pie, be won't see any teacher, and was it there be a 70 and you don't put to put where you jump on. Sunset, a pretty band, a piano board here any day, any more, that could do no swab a swab a mat and swab. And the promise, I say, you lazy one, go to earn and let a lesson from you. And the young shakes her. I didn't wish the young friend should be and my young soul. Young will say, yeah, Crystal Polo. You don't want to see the same. Now, young one when you hear fat brim, many Christians are blaming God, many Christians are in different kinds of prayer. Maybe a fire. If we are that town, and I say, they are not supposed to be there. But because of mismanagement and because of lack of planning, you know, and they are going to anyone out, mom ye, and the Muslim film, and the what and yes, already won't be here, you ready to be the elm, everyone why and just say, and you will be set to one more and open up why they are funnel and the veteran. And then only yesterday, verse 7. Though they have no prince or governor or rulers to make them work, they labor hard all summer, gathering food for winter. And in that day, I put your word there. When you can be our papa, that's what I say over there. Listen, and I don't know be a young come away, you will. Now, or you'll be our own daughter last year, and then we didn't go on now. Make a chance say, don't know one on it. And yeah, for the head of one was said, Nimbu was Sessica. And then I make a crazy picture and say, what told you to say, and okay. And I'm saying, Busa said, it did or not say, and okay. And I'm in a crazy. And I'm a cat and say, so what do you do? Oh, no, George, just $1 per hour, multiple $1 by 7. I say $7. So multiple $7 per the month. The one was the cow per 7 for George to go on. Because I said, when they did in choir. Now, last year, December, I couldn't come here. No one or buy an or be an age. Let's see, $920 and some cents. And I was saying, also, what Dad got to know. No, I am not so Dad got to know. There be a scanner what they told you to know. What they took, Sarkans. Now, here and the end of Kobe and almost especially at the moment. Other for your people said, if yes, $1 no, and yes, it can. And we know we need to say $1 go my Jessica. Now, so $1 no, so okay, now we have discipline. Now, to me, say, who says, $1, $1. At the end of the month, and $1 bill, accumulating a money Jessica. And the case of William says, I do. Now, your mom, what they say, get this savings, and become. The time you do my head, no. Now I see the meeting anyone. The two will be an answer on what savings not up what Emma would me at the tone. Say, when you may and now receive so now what should a fair with your member? Now what should I say? Say, but they will be yes, say, a common about the they won't be a day. And when you're sitting no more, a common buy, there should be a call. And see, a Christopher, your mom, what they said, yes, your mom, in your breakfast, they savings. Putting $25 a week will give you 100% of the cacao. It's a question who says, who yet you man? Do you pay yourself? And I'm because I want to actually know people. And I'm saying, you have to pay yourself. Especially, say what be your company now. I was set what they want to payroll so that would see a worker. Say a cause say when you share cause so when you start doing this would see a worker. And my own need and quote a humanistic. As I said, so would be a worker select be our be a car. And it's a would your worker select and that's a would be a worker. And Messica, a leftover of a savings, what is same? Now, as you can, I will say, every to me, as I'm out that I am more investment. I'm a woman, then I had a apostle. That's a way to your car. Then, and my would be a board, the anchor, then you pass away the woody. And it will be a way to a piano. And I say, any one make a pay, yet you know, I care every week, and I say every man, and not every 2 weeks. See a chair car. The disposable income now when you know what your base in real. Say $200. Make sure says $200. Who's your car say, if you have $50 and I'm $20. Then that money should put aside for your own good. Yeah, to us so. You go Matthew chapter 25, I can't say Matthew 25, verse 20 to 26. So about now, in the for Matthew 25, verse 20 to 26. If we are not medical carriers or so not, Matthew 25, verse 20 to 26. I hope I saw that say, yeah, when you have now in kind. Verse 1 coming down now, but just but yet, verse 20, no. Matthew 25, verse 20. Was it the servant to whom he has entrusted, the servant whom he had entrusted, he gave 5 bags of silver, came forward with 5 more and said, Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more. Verse 21, the master was full of praise. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. So now I will give you many more responsibility, and let's celebrate together. Verse 22, then the servant who had received the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, Master, give me 2 bags of silver to invest. I have earned 2 more. Then the master said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. So now I will give you many more responsibility, and let's celebrate together. Verse 24. Then the servant who had 1 bag of silver came and said, Master, I knew you were a husband, harvesting crops you didn't plant, and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here is your money back. Verse 26. But the master replied, you wicked and lazy servant, if you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit the money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it. And the way I met you as some getting done this year. Obi a wonko baby, and what they nisika, what chama, and perform yes, or maybe munu, or mamma yes, and me no maybe mako. Do I tell me and son of quiet human? Do I give me a new one, the move quiet human, and your so password? New running by, and then you just said, what is it can have a quiet human, and persuade it up. Do I tell me a no quiet human, and the password by? Do I tell about say, what in the one first can I get human, what the book to form, and what is all? Now you run it, must have moved for your cassette. Say, oh, go to me first, you cannot end yet to man, first, cannot put two, sick a problem. Now at least, and for so crab ever back. And see, I was a camera. You know what they say, but my day, you bet me this says, can I see you? Especially Kuma, wow, we are Juma, na company no more. More opportunity for 401k. That is a great opportunity to invest, because no amount of money I will be making in the ever certify. The money you are making can never and will never certify you. Human needs are unlimited. But here's the case. The disposable income. That's how you are going to make your expenses on that money you are making. And it's the amount of opportunity for 401k. Take that advantage of it, and then increase that 401k. Then you says can enter. So a week, yeah, $20, another $30, another $50 a week. Let me say $50 a week. Multiply $50 by 4 months, up to $200. But that $200, I am for that $200, and your disposable income, stay as scanning a day, and so. And make sure that at the end of the month, another week, Yen2 says, and for 401k. Now, only about 50 years now, already now I get a lot of money for you. The Brennan, the Oklahoma, they wish they come back. we see a maybe a war. Veteran for store back, and the meaning your friend ranch store. No meaning the Kumo. Was about Kuman, about 35 years. On go Ghana. Now, and commodity development in Sana or Cassa, or go Ghana, I ain't know what when you baby or quiet or what for 35 good years. There's so called Ghana when you baby. This thing can happen to us. Kana will make you know. Yen try say Matthew chapter 25 verse 20. I mean, that's the walk. Yen try say be invest says it you know. Say land be na obetimanya. Who want in the land you know. Let talk. So one bedroom when I bet me so. Who want in the so. Say that you know go Ghana. Obetimanya baby I dey. Akwa na ase Kristo die no nyam. Na when you know ebua mo nyam ni eni mo nyam etati. Yani then you know so Kristo ni akwantuo asetena ebeye dia. We ye dey sopo anase blame no ebo everade. Na so ina no mebebre enya no manyina na wo say sopo na dey ebo everade. Everade nya hwe. Everade na dwuma nyina wie ade amaye. Na wo sraye. It's up to me no me no say sa talent na wo de amaye no they make good use of the talent no. They make good use of it. We make good use of it. Another thing I may say is that you know for 1 kilo. So what is lower and what is low our bank? Why? Because so what the bank the bank will calculate the loan based upon the number of years they are charging on this one. But so for 1 kilo, let's say for 1 kilo you can go and borrow money over loan over 401k. The interest they are giving you is less as compared to the loan. If you are loan, you bet you will be about 9 points. Compared to your part, you will be about 9.5 and not 10 points. Something interest. If you want it from about 12 points something interest. But the 401k now, what you are, you remember why I'm now highest plan is about 5 points something interest. And the good thing about the 401k loan now, what you say, everyone in Vienna would interest, the interest is not going anywhere. The interest is going directly to your money. And they say, wow, musica, and the Sikana would you interest, there would you be yes, I decide interest here. Echo Kawa, that's a year, and this is a bank, what loan, the interest, who you are my bank, and my bank, that's what you want. But 401k, interest, I would you know, yes, I can't now. And this was our opportunity now. Yes, they make good use of it. And the last one, let me ask the money there. Asset, so the thing can try as much as possible to buy. The stock and I bet me and now up to our top. The shares and I bet me up to our top. The property be and every year torn on my gun. That's a genuine, not a new crown bonus shoe. That's over to not to our top. They won't be best, let's secure. Now, idea be a total of $50, another year, total of 50 million. About 5 years time, that thing will not be 50 million again. Special land. So total land be 100 million. About 5 years time, the land will not be the same as 100 million. Land now be so interest. No one has some for so that's a piece of thing anymore. Let me ask you the last one. I'm the baby Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is saying, yeah, you work at clear enough for your first. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1 to 6. Ecclesiastes 11, verse 1 to 6. See, out of 4, Nyame Sheminumi and say, yes, who in Nano. Now, yes, who ye won't so anymore. And I know Matthew chapter 18. Maybe Matthew chapter 18. Was it for the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. Now, when Nyame Ebano Eba said, or Papa 2 1 away, my yana. And Minumi, you know, yeah, press it in here, silver signal. You don't know what they say, you best say, I'm a normal appointee, oh, yes, it's them. Now, a class, you may invest it away your moon and your time should be invest. Try one more they said. Over what training abrabo and no more is set the fact Christian. Says the Bible says, the one you pay by. So be you wonder why you not know what you want. That's the same about the pastor about the day. And the Christian for it, and you have your responsibility to say, you won't want to say, yes, you know, be able to do a best of Christian again with them. Yes, you may invest it away and you have to say, you know, away telling you, and the more over to Abrabo, maybe over cool, and to see over to two, it may be 10 minutes. Abrabona won't want so a Father Christo, and I say, and Father Christo. A prayer of a first soul, when you see canoe, a many times say, so a prayer may now say, a Father Christo, and I say, Father Christo, and I said, the may, you know, me say, who will be, and the mammy, make one. There be everywhere, and I may have go. Your papa, and I say, your Janny and no, about support. If you move papa, if you move papa, you must soon papa. Or more, it will show on a papa. Or more, one demand show on also a cup on it, extra than papa dear, and while yes. So the question I am going to say, it be unto 2 years, or to 2 years, and then to me, I'm a general armor. So the question I always ask myself, say, and dear Ben, and you also and as a messuage, let me so much to an hour, say I'm a man so better. I'm a man so I'm a cassette. Me papa, and by when to me, iron. The rain and to your papa, over to send it to see, and to two and to your papa, and mouth, fellow. Now, Egypt for it to be named me, and it's you, and my face, now I'm a for any one, or move baby, get to me for Egypt. Ever told you at the point, and yes, say, Papa, Joseph, as he said. And to me, no me, as he say, and yes, he said, who wants to say a pen, yes, and I will not to say a pen, yes, he said, yet the jack, your chilma, yet the jack, your bushia, yet the jack, your mark, and your yelling, and your crew. Now also, who never, as say, I also said, now down, come back in Onyame flower. Also, copy Onyame when one, and say, and I would you upon a come and I put you Onyame. And I'll pay the year to say, when no one about one year, a brilliant catchy, yet that's so a crown, and quite as we yet that's what you put me back, and then start making a change. Start making a change. So when you savings account and let's start it. $1 per baby factor, $2 per baby factor, $5 per baby factor, 25 per baby factor. Which you week now, which you per baby factor. We spend money on sometimes and no maybe a 1 year. You better call or no, son. If you open no. Yet in Yami. The other person said, "Oh, Christo, you piano." I don't know, I is not at the man. Say, I guess I'm not the near Christo, and a piano brought the piano, son. And because he can't get best say, I was some and the dog and the mouth, and as of your memo, because he can't best sell any secret to her. So the question was said, so almost one Christo, especially the cat was answer and it's on my one. If you know when you do my corner, I think I answer. Young first says he can't say, okay, the car must be told send the car, Meso, made a told to me, intimately first can get it and say, yes, sir, about why. The last one, but then go and say, and to say, Papa, with my son, say, who would you say, Carol? That would be so what ever did anyone. Was it so what idea was so? And she cannot ever count, Sana. That disposable income, so when you consumer spending now, you have to fertilize was sorry and no man so on it. I was sorry for this over to tight over to ya, and for the over Bibiano. I was set now watching you and as a consumer when you see how consumable spending on what they sika say okay me try me that say make the collection say the before e be baba for the say the before ye the san no mani nyina e hyew san say ye the yenya me nso ye de adwuma ye ye hunam adwuma ye hunam ye nsem wa asase so na ye semu so e wo so say dan ko me bi no you free at that for asase so ye just san no mani wa ha ye kwa e so that me enya or the papa e wo ho Ebrenzi Bunya Botra can Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 1 to 6, and also a text young quiet pastor yet told Yanamo. Ebranaso, Bunyame no, Bunyamin Shroud, Bunyamin Count, who see Cow Binyano, would you be a war, be a one in the who say when the Panama $1 now will be a baby, a war banana, or one more sponsor, what they did send the Panama. Now, what is Semu in the panel so after winning the Bible says, send your one yama, me. And the moment they say, best Semu Sika, now I want you to be bar, a battery and another battery and a battery of Pimpa. The tremendous says, you can be the end at the one. The last but not the least, I make say, Sikana Wunyan Solom. On what they say, would it be 2 1? Nah, oh, your friend be emergency fund, oh, person emergency fund, so you're there. Emergency fund as of I am money at like unexpected things that it's better than I have been. If you need the idea, if you say you want to make my say, make my lay off. You lay off to see another only emergency fund obey that to my survival. Then first I know in every consideration. The ancient should be anyone now. The Radi at the again at the amount. Suffer Bob Brand said what did Matthew chapter 25 that they have actually cannot pay. Young faster and conform ye say, and fat to your brapon. Nay in his canna, young fan shed the meeting enemy. I dare be a wobian, a scabby wobian, the wobian, and your ratty and a diatom. How I miss you to Toronto, but we have to 2 years, said it Joseph at 2 years now. A bad boy, the basic should be enemy. I rather know, I rather count, was this. Make a friend that they